Hello students, I am Dr. Saleha Jamal, Faculty Department of Geography from Aligarh Muslim University, Aligarh. So today's topic of discussion is climate change, sea level rise and coastal cities. It is a part of evidences that we were discussing in favor of the climate change, because in this week we started discussing the different perspective of the climate change. First perspective, that finds out that climate change is real, and the second perspective that points out that climate change is just or exaggerated and overrated statement. It is just the natural variability of Earth climatic system. So we started discussing few of the impacts of the climate change, which favors that climate change is real and is continuing at a faster rate. So in that series, this is another impact we can say which indicates that climate change is real. So let us start today's class, student. Welcome to today's class. While introducing to climate change and sea level rise, we know that climate change is mainly driven by the global warming, and which is due to the emission of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, because this greenhouse gas trap heat and thus raises the temperature, which causes global warming. And this phenomena cause shifts in temperature, precipitation and weather patterns, which is known as climate change, or we can say long-term shifts in temperature, precipitation, or we can say in the shifts in the elements of weather and climate, that can be called as climate change. In various impact, one of the major impact of climate change is sea level rise, which results from the melting of glaciers, ice caps, or even we can say thermal expansion of seawater, which occurs due to the global warming, or we can say rise in global temperature. To this sea level rise, the global concern is about the coastal cities, because these coastal cities are at forefront of experiencing these changes. So, let us examine the global trend of sea level rise. Here in this graph, you can find that global average sea level rise. The techniques are different for monitoring this global sea level rise. You can find previous, it was mainly found out due to the tide gauges, and later it was analyzed on the basis of satellite information. And here you can see there is consistent rise in the sea level rise. Now it reached up to 8 to 9 inch in present time. So this consistent sea level rise, it impacts various other phenomena. Now let us discuss what are the causes of sea level rise. There are several causes. The major ones are thermal expansion. Actually, thermal expansion occurs when the rise in global temperature warms up the ocean water. This warming of ocean water that leads to the expansion of water molecules, which leads to the thermal expansion. Mainly, oceans absorbs over 90% of the excess heat, which causes water molecules to expand, leading to thermal expansion. Another major cause of melting or sea level rise is melting ice sheets and the glaciers. It is very much obvious that melting of glaciers, ice sheets, ice caps or snow fields, that will contribute in the increase of volume of water, which will proceed to sea level rise. Even the land subsidence may be naturally or maybe human induced factor can cause land subsidence. These factors exacerbate sea level rise impacts. So these are the three major causes of sea level rise: thermal expansion of seawater, melting ice sheets and glaciers, which adds volume of water, and land subsidence. You can find here, as this lecture deals with the impact on the coastal cities which are at forefront of the changes due to the sea level rise. So this particular table shows the world most rapidly sinking cities. You can see here Jakarta in Indonesia, Laos in Nigeria, Dhaka in Bangladesh, Venice in Italy, Virginia Beach in USA, Bangkok, Thailand, New Orleans, Louisiana, Alexandria, Egypt, Miami, Florida. So these are the most rapidly sinking cities. There are various other cities and landforms which are sinking due to the sea level rise, but here we are going to discuss the cities which are facing the more vulnerable situation. So let us start discussing these cities. Just we have taken few examples here, like Indonesia. Indonesia's Jakarta is the fastest sinking city in the world. The data here shows, in this map you can see here, prediction of sea level till 2100. This is for the Jakarta in Indonesia, where the projections have said mild up to 3 meter and extreme up to 5 meter, and where 52% of the population will be affected. Actually, Jakarta is located on the northwest coast of island of Java. Jakarta has become the world's fastest sinking city according to the data which is given by the different sources. This city is actually settling down at the rate of 30.5 centimeter, that is around a feet, due to the flooding and even we can say illegal well drilling. Scientists have warned by 2030 most of the Jakarta will be inhabitable because of sinking. To this end, Indonesia's longtime president Joko Widodo has proposed to move the capital city 800 miles away from Borneo, that is almost 1300 kilometers away from Borneo. And this new city which is underway would be called as Nusantara. This is one pictorial representation here, picture which shows Indonesia's Jakarta is the fastest sinking city of the world. You can see here, these are the region how fast these major parts are sinking. Let us discuss another example, Laos, Nigeria. Africa's largest city, that is Laos, is also facing a critical threat of coastal erosion and flooding, mainly due to the sea level rise. Sea level rise impacts can be seen in the terms of coastal erosion, in the terms of we can say flooding or seawater intrusion, etc. So Africa's largest city, Laos, is also experiencing threat of coastal erosion and flooding, mainly due to the sea level rise, which is threatening the infrastructure, the population of the city. This map shows the coastal flooding at 2100 of Laos, Nigeria. Here you can find the light blue color shows the sea level projection up to 2 meter, that is mild, and extreme up to 4 meter, and round about 32% of the population will be affected. You just imagine the susceptibility to this climate change. Dhaka, Bangladesh, a city which requires, just think, already the data has been given that this city requires 25% open space, but Bangladesh authorities are transforming most of it into concrete jungle. Means although it is said that 25% open space is required, but still the authorities are transforming it into concrete jungle. Means the city will lose the percolation capacity, and even the city is filling low-lying water retention areas by construction. So this expansion of having a concrete jungle and even filling of low-lying areas with the several construction is generally observed by the scientists, which is causing waterlogging problem and even posing a very significant environmental threat to the city, but still it is continuing. Let us see the data in this map. The coastal flooding in 2100 Dhaka, Bangladesh. Here you can see the light blue color, that is up to mild, we can say 3 meter sea level rise, and here you can say 5, and around 51% of the population will be affected. This is, you can find here, this is the Dhaka city of Bangladesh. Venice, Australia, sorry. Venice, Italy. One of the most popular tourist attraction in the world. We know it is a very beautiful city, and the data says it is sinking at a rate of 0.08 inches, that is 0.2 centimeter every year. There are several reasons for that, like extraction of groundwater, rising sea levels, or waterlogging, etc. Actually, the city is built up on a tectonic boundary, and it is supported by heavy buildings, making the city tilt towards the east side, thus threatening its sustainability. This is, we can see, you can find here city, and the data says that due to this sea level rise, due to this coastal flooding, 76% of the population living in this area will be affected, and up to 2100 the sea level rise may reach up to 2 in mild case, and in extreme cases it will reach up to 4 meter. Virginia Beach in USA, it is also one of the fastest sinking city on the east side of the United States of America. Reasons are various, combinations of reasons have been given by the scientists, like hindrances such as overzealous groundwater extraction, over exploitation of the groundwater, resettling of land, and the sea level rise. The water in the Virginia Beach is predicted to rise by 12 feet by 2100. You can see here, with the coastal flooding at 2100 will affect 63% population of this particular region, and in mild cases the flooding will reach up to 2 meter, in extreme cases 4 meter. Bangkok, Thailand, multiple reasons have given, such as flooding, the weight of the heavy buildings mainly on the compactable clay soil, excessive groundwater extraction, rising sea levels are causing this Bangkok city to sink quickly. Means a combination of the reasons were given by the scientist. Bangkok historically has made certain concessions in the sea and the river canals in its street few decades ago. But like example, floating markets, houses on stilts were common sights like around 50 years ago. But now in modern times have brought this city also in same kind of asphalt road, concrete jungle, high-rise buildings found in any other big city of the world, which is threatening the city. Here you can find the data, almost 96% of the population will remain affected, and you can see the coastal flooding of mild up to 3 meter, extreme up to 5 meter in light blue and blue color. This is what we can say talking about Bangkok city. New Orleans, Louisiana, which is located on the river delta of New Orleans, which is facing same type of problem as other sinking coastal cities. The threat is mainly due to the rising sea level. According to the NASA study, the part of the city is on the verge of being submerged by 2100, which is the major concern of this area. Let us see the data here. Almost 97% of the population will be affected. You can see here, this is the New Orleans we are talking about. See its location from both sides. It is surrounded by the sea. And if we see its coastal flooding, the projection up to 2100, the light blue color shows up to 2-meter sea level projection, and extreme, the dark blue color shows extreme up to the 5-meter. So, the situation is really grim about these coastal cities. It is alarming. We have to take certain step in collaboration. And collaboration means the world should come forward collectively to combat with the climate change. Rotterdam, Netherlands. It is a port city, Rotterdam, and which is sinking at a rate of 0.6 inches. The country is draining peatlands and the rise of sea level by 1.21 meters by 2100. You can see Rotterdam. This is the Rotterdam, and if we see its data, almost 98% population will be affected. And again you can see light blue and dark blue colors, the susceptibility of sea level rise. Another example here, Alexandria, Egypt. The looming threat of disappearing beaches and intrusion in the Mediterranean Sea indicates a rise of 2 feet by 2100. Let us examine the data. Almost 74% of the population will be affected. You can see here the Alexandria part, and this is the affected area, the mild affected, that is in blue color, and dark blue color, extreme, that is up to the 5-meter. Here we have taken the example of several coastal cities. Let us talk something about the India, that is vulnerable coastal cities in India. Various news report points out that Mumbai to Chennai, the coastal cities may drown up to 2050, a very much we can say alarming concern. It is said that Mumbai, around 998 buildings and up to 24 kilometers of road length will be affected by the sea level rise by 2050. Even in Thiruvananthapuram, due to the sea level rise by 2050, or even we can say rise with the high tide, around 349 and 387 buildings are or we can say will be impacted by 2050. Even let us discuss the warnings from the IPCC report for Mumbai. What the IPCC report says for the Mumbai. If we see globally, the coastal areas will see continued sea level rise, maybe up to 3 to 4 millimeter per year, and even it will rise up to 8 millimeter per year in a very low emission scenario. But we know that the emissions are increasing, and this will be the situation in the very low emission scenario throughout 21st century. If the emission increases, the drowning will aggravated, and this will contribute to more frequent and severe coastal flooding in low-lying areas, and it will also cause the coastal erosion, loss of beaches, etc. Scientists from Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology and one of the lead authors of IPCC's 6th assessment report, Swapna Panikkal, says the surface of Indian Ocean has warmed faster than the global average. Indian Ocean is warming at a faster rate than the global average. So, sea level around Asia has the tendency to increase faster than the global average, which will cause loss of coastal areas, which will cause retreat of the shorelines, coastal floodings, etc. Even the interpretations finds out that the faster sea level rise in Asia, that is 3.7 millimeter annually in the Indian Ocean, that signals flooding likely low-lying areas of Mumbai. This sea level rise is estimated at 1.3 millimeter per year along Indian coast in last 40 to 50 years. If we see based on the published study, net sea level rise of Mumbai is estimated to be 0.74 millimeter per year. So, this is what it is a alarming notion for the coastal cities of even in India, particularly here we have talked about the Mumbai. Let us examine the few impact on the coastal cities due to the sea level rise. The sea level rise will cause coastal flooding. It causes coastal flooding, and this coastal flooding is increasing in its severity and frequency, and it also causes coastal inundation day by day. As we are seeing, the climate change is aggravating. It also causes coastal erosions. It causes coastal flooding, coastal erosion, that accelerated loss of coastal land and infrastructure through the erosion. It causes salinization. Means how salinization will occur? We know that seawater has the saline characteristic. So, this seawater intrusion into the freshwater system on land will affect agriculture and water supply because of salinization. Sea level rise is predicted to cause various economic losses. Also, in various places it has caused certain economic losses in terms of damage to property, infrastructure, economic activities like tourism, fishing, mainly the economic activities which are based on the, we can say, aquatic ecosystem. Coastal flooding also causes population displacement. We know there are various cities, various places which are more susceptible to the climate change, its impact of sea level rise. So, risk of climate migration is mainly due to the loss of the habitable areas. We have seen the example of Jakarta, where the new city is upcoming known as Nusantara. What will be the adaptation and mitigation strategies? Various adaptation and mitigation strategies have been proposed by the various national and international bodies, but the common one here I have taken, that is coastal defenses. Building of coastal defenses means building some sort of barriers to restrict this coastal flooding, like coastal seawalls, building seawalls, levees, like levees, mainly it is natural levees, or we can say human made levees. We can even found along the river. So, here also along the sea, so building levees and surge barriers. So, this will act as a hurdle, as an obstacle which can control and manage the coastal flooding. Even the sustainable urban planning, we are talking a lot about sustainable urban planning. Relocating infrastructure and reducing urban sprawl means mainly through the urban sprawl in the susceptible and most prone areas to the climate change should be stopped. We have even seen in the example, although 25% of land should be the open space in Dhaka city of Bangladesh, but still the authorities are concretizing that open spaces that should. So, this type of situation should not continue. So, sustainable urban planning should be done. Even the ecosystem restoration can help a lot. We can have certain steps towards the ecosystem restoration, just like protecting mangroves, or even we can say afforestation of mangroves, protecting coral reefs and the wetlands. So, this will act as a natural barrier which can help a lot overall maintaining the sustainability. In longer term, carbon emission reduction can help a lot, because if the carbon emission reduction is being prioritized, that will reduce the greenhouse effect. In turn, the global temperature rise will be slowed down. So, in long term, the global temperature rise will normalize, and due to which sea level rise may not take place further. But for this, various steps are taken even nationally and internationally. There are conference of parties through UNFCCC, even the national contribution, we can say a nationally determined contribution, that is NCDs from the different nation according to the Paris Agreement. Those are working in order to combat and mitigate with the climate changes. Even early warning system will improve the disaster preparedness and response capabilities. There should be global and local initiatives. For example, if we talk about global, the UNFCCC Conference of Parties, through Conference of Parties we had Kyoto Protocol, we can say Paris Agreement through Conference of Parties, even Montreal Agreement. So, these types of international efforts can also help a lot in mitigation with the climate change and reducing the greenhouse gases. Through the Paris Agreement, there are nationally determined contribution from the different nations who ratified with this agreement. They have also framed out their own goals and objective in order to mitigate with the climate change. So, that is a good step, means inclusive steps towards the mitigation with the climate change can help a lot in order to reduce the pace of climate change. Even at more local level, we can say city level actions like building resilient cities, network promoting local adaptation strategies can help a lot to face the present challenges due to the climate change. Now, the need of the hour is call for the action, and that can be solved through the collaborations, and these collaborations require the inclusive step of collaboration by the government, by the non-government organizations, scientists, communities, etc. So, their collaborative effort may help a lot in mitigating with the climate change. All these collaborations, because I have said here, inclusive approach is very much necessary. An inclusive approach will be only possible if the innovative ideas, innovations, technologies that are transferred to the developing nations or the nations which are more prone to the climate changes, but they are lacking resources for adaptation and mitigation. So, they should be provided with the transfer of technology, technical know-how, resources in order to have inclusion with the mitigation towards the climate change. So, for that, innovation and we can say investment on technology becomes very much necessary. In this lecture, overall we have seen that mainly due to the sea level rise, the coastal cities are on the front lines of the climate change. For that, Urgent actions are needed in order to mitigate the risk, to protect the vulnerable regions, vulnerable population, in order to ensure the sustainable urban development, which is the need of the our students. So that's all for today's lecture. Students, have a nice day. Thank you.